There are two Regulator 28 on the market right now, separated by $179,720, a 2026 Regulator 28. Asking price $449,220, a 2022 Regulator 28, same model, sitting a few clicks away. Asking price $269,500, twin Yamaha F300s, roughly 225 hours. Helm Master EX joystick control already installed. Dual 16-inch Garmin displays. Radar, outriggers already mounted and rigged. Do the math, and there's $179,720 sitting between those two listings. Now, these aren't confirmed sale prices. The boats aren't identical. Options differ, histories differ, and either seller could move on price before this video is even finished. But that doesn't make the number disappear. If you're the buyer with both listings open in separate tabs, $179,720 doesn't sound like a number. It sounds like a decision. What exactly is the extra money buying you? Hold on to that question, because this gets a lot bigger than one regulator. In 2025, pre-owned boats made up 79.7% of every recreational boat sold in the United States by unit. New boats, 20.3%. More than 867,000 pre-owned boats changed hands. That's the entire recreational market, not offshore center consoles specifically. So no, it would be wrong to say 4 out of 5 offshore boats sold used. But it tells you something. Buying pre-owned isn't some fringe habit anymore. And people haven't stopped spending on the water. Total U.S. recreational marine spending hit $54 billion in 2025. The money's still moving. People still want boats. So why does a brand new hull suddenly have so much explaining to do? That's the real story here. Not whether new boats are good. They are. The question is what a new offshore boat now has to prove before somebody looks at the boat he already owns, or the used boat sitting 3 listings away, and decides the premium is worth it. Start with the obvious part. The boats got more expensive. Russell Bayakir from North Point Commercial Finance told the Marine Trade Press that marine products are running roughly 39% higher in cost than they were back in 2019. That's not a government inflation number. That's someone inside marine finance, watching the money move. But the direction probably doesn't surprise anybody who's priced an offshore boat lately. The boats got more expensive. Then the buyer got more careful. Neichi Sedilos from Ocean Point Funding described today's buyers looking past the sticker price and running the whole picture. Interest rate, insurance, fuel, storage, monthly payment, and underneath all of that, one harder question. Does this boat add enough to my time on the water to justify what the whole package is actually going to cost me? That's not really a boat show question anymore. That's closer to a mortgage question. And once somebody starts asking mortgage questions about a boat, new stops being the automatic answer. If you own an offshore boat, or you spend more time than you'll admit thinking about fishing boats, subscribe to Boat Verdict. Go back to that regulator. The gap between those two asking prices is almost $180,000. Think about what that actually represents to somebody who uses an offshore boat, not just owns one. Fuel, engine service, storage or dockage, insurance, electronics down the road, tackle, trips. The repair bill that shows up eventually, because on a boat, something expensive always decides it's had enough sooner or later. Or it's just money that stays in your account instead of getting tied up in a hull on day one. And the used regulator isn't some stripped-down base boat. The joystick's there, the Garmin displays are there, radar's there, outriggers are there. The engines show roughly 225 hours. None of that proves it's the better buy. You still inherit somebody else's maintenance history, somebody else's decisions, and whatever condition the boat's actually in once you get it inspected. The new boat gives you things the used one can't. A history that starts with you, whatever factory and engine warranty applies. The chance to build the boat exactly the way you want it. No guessing about what happened over the last 4 years. Those things have value, but now they have a number sitting next to them. Almost $180,000 in this particular case. So the question changes. It's not just, can I afford the new one? It becomes, what does new actually give me that this one doesn't? Sometimes the answer is a lot. Sometimes it's less than the buyer expected. Now make it messier. Look at the Grady-White Canyon 306. A 2026 Canyon 306 is currently listed at $405.43. A 2021 Canyon 306, same model, is asking $199,000. That's a spread of more than $200,000, which sounds like an even easier decision. It isn't. The 2021 Grady has about 805 hours on its twin Yamaha 300s. That number doesn't tell us the condition of those engines. It doesn't tell us how they were run. It doesn't tell us how well they were maintained. But it does mean maintenance history just became a lot more important to this decision. This isn't the lightly used regulator anymore. Now you've got a real fork in the road. Pay the new boat number and start with zero previous use history. Or buy the older boat for roughly $200,000 less. Get a real inspection, understand exactly what you're buying, and keep some of that difference in reserve for whatever the engines, electronics, or other systems eventually need. There's no universally correct answer here, and that's exactly why the Grady matters. It doesn't prove used wins. It proves the gap has gotten wide enough that the buyer has to actually stop and think. What is certainty worth to me? What risk am I willing to own? And how much am I willing to pay just to make those questions easier? Now step away from lightly used boats completely, because the whole age argument is about to fall apart. There's a 2001 Contender 27, listed at $120,000, 25 years old by model year, but hanging off the transom, twin 2020 Yamaha 300s with roughly 213 hours, Garmin electronics, radar, a trailer. That boat makes 1 point better than almost anything else in this story. A boat isn't one object that ages all at once. The hull has an age, the engines have an age, the electronics have an age, the fuel system, the steering, the wiring, the pumps, all of it has its own condition and its own history. They can be evaluated separately. Often, they can be repaired, upgraded, or replaced separately. Old year does not mean old everything. That doesn't make a 2001 hull automatically a good buy. A boat that age deserves a real inspection and a real survey. Structure matters, previous repairs matter, fuel systems matter, wiring matters, maintenance history matters, shiny gel coat and newer outboards don't erase 25 years. But the Contender breaks the simplest version of the buying equation. A new engine doesn't require a new hull. New electronics don't require a new hull. And if the hull underneath them is still sound and still fits what the owner actually needs it for, replacing the whole boat becomes a much harder argument to win. This gets personal fast. For somebody who already owns a boat he knows. He knows how it rides loaded with fuel, ice, and gear. He knows where everything lives. He knows what's already been repaired and what still annoys him. Maybe he's already upgraded the electronics. Maybe the engines still have life left in them. Maybe repowering eventually makes more sense than replacing everything underneath. And now somebody wants him to trade away the platform he understands, add a serious amount of money, and start learning a different boat from scratch. New payment, new layout, new handling to learn, new rigging decisions, another ownership cycle, starting over from day one. Why restart the clock? Not because the new boat is bad, because it hasn't proven yet that resetting everything is worth the money. And the selling side knows it. It has to compete for that buyer. MarineMax reported revenue and same-store sales down 7% year-over-year in its fiscal third quarter. At the same time, the company cut inventory by $118 million compared to the year before. Margins actually improved. So this isn't a collapse story. It's evidence of a softer market and a major retailer managing inventory more aggressively. Now look at the incentives. Regulator is offering up to $15,000 in factory rebates on eligible new boats this summer. Sportsman is advertising financing through Yamaha Financial Services as low as 6.79% APR for 72 months on eligible in-stock boats for qualifying borrowers. Not everybody gets that rate, not every boat gets the full rebate, but both tell you the same thing. The new boat is having to compete for you. A small survey of 48 marine retailers earlier this year pointed the same direction. 55% reported growth in used boat retail. New boat results were a lot more mixed. That survey isn't the whole American market. But it's one more signal pointing the same way. The dealership is still selling a boat. The used market is quietly selling the alternative. Now, before this turns into a commercial for used boats, it isn't one, because there's a genuinely strong case for buying new. A new boat gives you a clean history. Nobody owned it before you. Nobody modified something you haven't found yet. Nobody made a repair decision you now have to inherit. You also get whatever factory and engine warranty applies to that boat and that power package. That doesn't eliminate every risk, but it can move some of the expensive early problems off your plate and onto somebody else's. You may also get to build the boat around exactly how you fish: power, electronics, seating, live well setup, tower, or second station, if that builder offers it. And maybe most important, you know exactly where the boat's story begins. Used can't give you that, because a used boat wins the price comparison right up until something expensive breaks. A low asking price can turn into expensive money that just hasn't been spent yet. Bad wiring, a tired fuel system, hidden corrosion, old plumbing, a structural problem nobody flagged, neglected engines, a repair that was done wrong the first time. That's why a survey, a real mechanical inspection, and actual maintenance records matter. So here's the real question: if you already own an offshore boat you trust, what would a brand new one actually have to do better before you walked away from the boat you already know? Would you replace it today? Or would you put that money into a repower and an electronics refresh and keep running the hull you already trust? Tell me which one, and tell me why in the comments. And remember to subscribe to Boat Verdict